Hi, I'm Kelly Gilbert. This is my story about my study abroad time in Europe. We were on free travel and we were about to go to Paris, and it's called Lost in Paris. The flight into Paris was uneventful. It was short, not turbulent, it was fine. We found our luggage at Charles de Gaulle Airport and we were all ready to go and to find our hostel. What we had was the address, but we did not know what metro stop we needed to take. And this was in the era before smartphones, so we had no way to just pick up our phone and look up things. So we walked to the information desk, and while we were there, I spoke the best French, so I walked up and I said, "Bonjour, parlez-vous l'anglais?" And the guy kind of went, "Oui, je parle anglais." And but he didn't look up. And so I said, "Great, merci. Can you help us find Boulevard de la Chapelle?" And he kind of shuffled some maps around and looked up and then did a double take and said, "Oh, you're beautiful." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you." It's not something that was often blatantly said to me. And I said, "So can you help us?" And he continued to tell me how absolutely beautiful I was. And he told the guy next to him, who looked at me and kind of went, "Sure." And I was finally getting tired of it. A, we needed to go, and B, I was feeling a little awkward around Melissa, who's absolutely wonderful. So I said, "Thanks. Listen, we need to know how to get to Boulevard de la Chapelle." So he quickly pointed to the map and showed us a subway stop, and we said, "Thank you," and went on our merry way. We got onto the metro. It was pretty uneventful. We got off, and we realized we were in a residential neighborhood, not where the hostel was. Mr. Spittin' Man decided either A, to give us the wrong directions, or B, didn't know. So we kind of walked around a little bit. We're a little anxious. It was now about 10 p.m., and we were just the two of us, two little 20-year-old college kids walking through Paris. We found a nice well-lit bench, and we looked up where we needed to go, and we saw that we needed a bus to get to the line of the metro that we need to get on. So we got on the bus, and we were sitting there, and all of a sudden there's this commotion right next to us, and we looked over, and there's this woman who was scolding me in French. She had cats on her. She had a cat on her shoulder, she had a cat on her lap, and she had a cat in a carrier next to her. Why that one was in a cage, I'm not sure. She was scolding me in French, and then when I looked puzzled, she said, "That boy stole something from you. You should be really careful." And I looked, and sure enough, my bag was open, but having been not fresh off the plane from the US, I knew better than to put my valuables in it. In the front part of a backpack, I had put some toiletries, which that little boy was sorely disappointed when he discovered what he'd stolen. We kind of awkwardly thanked the lady, hoping not to anger her cats. The rest of the bus ride was okay. We got off and we hopped back onto the metro, and we got off of that spot, and it was in a much more touristy part of Paris. Kind of near the Sacré-Cœur and the Moulin Rouge, which I did not realize were right beside each other, or not really, but in the same neighborhood. So we walked down the street, and we finally found our hostel. We were kind of thinking that we were just gonna have to find a hotel or sleep on the street, but luckily we found it. It was probably now about 11 p.m. We walked into the hostel, we said bonjour, made sure that our names were actually on the registry. They were. We had a room, we did all the typical hostel stuff. We walked up the stairs, and we opened the door, and we turned on the light, and the room was this most revolting purple ever. I mean, I can't think of a worse purple I've ever seen. And after the absurdity of the evening, all we did was just fall on our squeaky old beds and just laughed. Thank you for listening. That was my story, Lost in Paris.